Welcome, I'm the Kaiju no Kami, and tonight's review is Godzilla against MechaGodzilla. One of the aspects of the Millennium series has been that each movie is set in its own universe after the events of the original Godzilla. This allowed filmmakers to put their own touches on Godzilla because it meant they could have a fresh start to give us their own vision of the monster. This was an interesting idea, but it was also frustrating if you were a fan of continuity. In the Heisei series, Godzilla showed up in 1954, was killed, and then there was nothing until 1984 when Godzilla returned. In Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, Godzilla again showed up in 54, 64, 99, and then 2001. GMK did the same, only they did tell us that other monsters show up around the world since Godzilla's initial attack. For 2000, we aren't sure really what was going on. However, none of these ever had monsters showing up in Japan before until now. Masaki Tezuka returned to direct his latest iteration of Godzilla, but he also set it in a world where Japan has been constantly attacked by monsters since then. This added something new to the movie's universes as it shares a connection to the other movies from the Showa era, which is quite favorable among fans and helps to solidify that Godzilla is not the center of the monster world. Michiru Oshima also returned to score the movie with her fantastic militaristic themes, while Yuichi Kikuchi directed the special effects. So let's get moving on the fourth installment of the MechaGodzilla series. The movie immediately sets its tone with an approaching typhoon in 1999 that Godzilla emerges from. We are barely into the movie and Godzilla is already arriving in Japan like a force of nature, as if he was the storm itself. Oh yeah, and let's play a little game of Spot the Godzilla Actor, because there are a lot of past actors in this movie. I will begin with the counter at the bottom. A military unit that is designed to fight monsters is dispatched, and here we meet Akane Yoshiro, played by Yumiko Shaku. The military uses maser tanks to battle Godzilla, but they prove ineffective, and during an escape, a few soldiers are killed as their jeep slams into the tank Akane was driving, and they fly off a cliff only to be stepped on by Godzilla's mighty foot. We are then shown the aftermath of Godzilla's rampage, and Prime Minister Machiko Suge discusses the history of monster attacks in Japan with cabinet member Hayato Igarashi. From here, we come to learn that both Mothra and Gaira exist in this universe. Suge is played by Godzilla veteran actress Kumi Mizuno from Invasion of Astro Monster and Ebirah Horror of the Deep, while Akira Nakao portrays Igarashi, whom you may recall from the Heisei era's G-Force. Days later, a scientist named Tokumitsu Yahara, played by 1984's Shin Takuma, is showing off his recently recreated trilobite using modern technology and DNA.
地球環境を破壊して絶滅種を増やしている人間の一人としてそれが僕の使命だと思ってる誰も聞いてない
Sorry, dude. Nobody's listening to you. We've kind of been there.
ただでさえ地球が危ない方向だというのに危険な弾を込めていたのはむしろ私たち人間なんだ
その時のために今度は私たちが地球を守らなきゃね
Done that. Yahara is approached by other scientists to make a biorobot version of Godzilla using the skeleton of the original that had just been recovered by the government. Oh yeah, sure, because nothing could ever go wrong with that.
You got 20,000 people. You got no more boats. You don't have enough guns.
At first, he is hesitant to do so because he would not be able to take care of his daughter Sarah, but after an offer to allow her to live on the base with him, he agrees to it. Another excellent aspect to be found here is how worried the people are that MechaGodzilla will become a weapon for Japan to use on the world. It brings another touch of realism to the movie, and it helps take Japan outside of their bubble once again. This is also added to the fact that Suge explains that she has already garnered approval from the UN. Igarashi becomes Prime Minister, and after 4 years of development, MechaGodzilla, known as Kyoru, is completed. Akane, whom has been working at a library desk all this time as she blames the deaths of her teammates on herself, is asked to join the Kyoru squad led by Colonel Tagashi. Female protagonist blames death of comrades on herself. News at 11. Why does this plot point sound awfully familiar? Oh yeah, I know why. Because it's been done before! Not even 2 movies ago! This is also where the White Heron planes are introduced. Unfortunately, not everyone is happy for her to be on the team, including a soldier named Hayama, as his brother was killed by what he considers to be from her negligence. Once again, we get treated to a training montage. Yahara tries to hit on Akane when Ayama rants for her becoming their head pilot. Igarashi unveils Kiro to the world and they show off what he can do, which includes a weapon called the Absolute Zero Cannon. They give out his specs and explain that he runs on batteries that last 2 hours before having to be powered up. The savior of Japan is powered by batteries. Sure, granted it's kind of more realistic, but it also sounds awfully familiar.
Internal batteries fully charged!
Godzilla lands and Kiro is dispatched. Oh hey, look at that in the background. I wonder what Luffy would say if he were to meet Godzilla. Kiro arrives and the battle against Godzilla begins. Unfortunately, the battle is very one-sided as Godzilla just stands there lifelessly as he takes the hits on directly. It looks like a toy. It looks like this guy just standing there getting hit. What? Godzilla roars and retreats as Kiro goes Eva 01 on Japan. One of the Herons goes down and Akane rescues Hayama. The only thing they are able to do is wait until his batteries die. I know I was laughing at the whole battery idea a little bit ago, but at least they didn't use energizers. Igarashi feels responsible for everything that has happened while Yuhara discovers what caused Kiro to go berserk and works to fix it. At the same time, Akane is finally accepted by everyone in the Kiro squad except for Hayama. Godzilla wakes up from a wet dream and look at those impressive eyes. There is so much emotion in them and he hasn't even gotten up yet. He heads towards Shinagawa. The newly repaired Kiro is released with Igarashi's approval and the mechanical menace heads out to battle Godzilla once more. The Twin Titans duke it out in a very incredible looking melee fight. Unfortunately, Kiru's battery is running low, so they use the Absolute Zero Cannon while they still can. Godzilla blasts Kiru away, and the cannon's beam freezes several buildings into dust instead. Akane enters Kiru to pilot it manually. The city's power is shut down in an attempt to recharge him. Afterwards, The battle resumes and Hayama slams his Huron into Godzilla's mouth to block his atomic beam from hitting Kiryu. Ugh, this meal tastes really plain. Akane charges up the Absolute Zero cannon, she rams into Godzilla to free Hayama, and then the two monsters fly out to the sea where she fires the cannon. Godzilla is severely injured while Kiryu is extensively damaged. Igarashi cheers that this means it's only a matter of time before Godzilla is gone for good, and the credits begin to roll as Akane watches the sunrise. Like MechaGodzilla, there is a scene after the credits between Sarah, Yahara, and Akane. Akane offers to buy them dinner because she says the fight between Godzilla and Kiryu ended in a draw. And thus ends the first movie in the Kiryu saga. So, what do I think of it? Actually, overall, it is absolutely spectacular. The story is well done and the characters are developed quite well. Not only that, but even Kiryu feels like a character, something which has never been done before in any of the previous MechaGodzilla movies. Akane's plot feels similar to that of Sujimori's from MechaGodzilla, but she is way more likable and actually conveys a range of emotion. It's like Sujimori was the prototype for this character. In fact, everything done in MechaGodzilla feels like Tezuka was just testing the waters before he worked on this movie. Akane's growth from lonely soldier girl who doesn't care if she lives or dies to someone who loves those around her and has gained their friendship feels natural and realistic. Yahara and Sarah have some great moments too. At first I felt like Yahara just fell in love with Akane over the course of a day, but then I realized they have been around each other for several years by this point, so something had been developed off screen. He does have the nice guy mentality that is quite often found in these movies, but the addition of Sarah adds another layer to it. The scene where he explains to Akane about the loss of his wife and the second child is tragic, and it does hit home where he is at as a person without forcing the exposition down the audience's throat. The same goes for Sarah and her dilemma and uncomfortability with the concept of death. She is upset that her dad is able to recreate all these creatures except her mom, and grows into just accepting it as a part of life as the movie goes on. All three actors have a wide range of chemistry with each other, which really adds to the situations they are in. Hayama hates Akane at the beginning of the movie, and it is understandably so. He blames her for the death of his brother. The nice thing about the plot point is that it is not shoved down our throats as other movies have done. He just doesn't like her. He shows that. But it is the progression that he comes to realize she is not the demon he thinks she is that truly shines here. She saves him, but he isn't just automatically convinced by that one act to turn off his hate switch. That was also another refreshing experience, and something the movie does well at. Outside of the moments of the lifeless looking Godzilla and the usual trend of really bad CGI, this movie has by far the best effects and miniature work in decades. There is so much attention to detail in the miniatures that it is impossible to talk about them all. Just look at how much work went into the buildings. There is furniture and drapes placed in some of them. The streets look like they were just abandoned. There are electrical wires everywhere. The rubble caused from the destruction is astonishing. The explosions look realistic, but the best achievement has to go to the melee battle between Godzilla and Kiryu. A lot of time and effort clearly went into the battle and the payoff was worth it. This is easily the best hands-on battle the series has seen since Terror of MechaGodzilla. Speaking of the monsters, even their designs are remarkable. Godzilla looks more like a streamlined version of the 2000 suit, but with traditional features on him. The skin is back to the charcoal black and the spines are bone gray again. The head is a lot smaller too, but the range of emotion he is able to deliver is a feat unto itself. The color of the eyes allow them to reflect in the light, giving them a cat-like appearance in how they emote. His body is thin, and the moves he pulls off appear natural. This is easily the best Godzilla design since at least '89. Once again though, it just doesn't make sense as to why there are moments he just stands there like a toy and takes the hits from his opponents. What was the motive behind this decision? Was it a budget thing? Was it because of timing? It is the only aspect of the movie that takes away from his character. Kiryu is hands down the best MechaGodzilla design to date. The method behind his origin also brings a fresh and unique feel to the series, as it makes him go beyond just being a robot. Not to mention that this is the first time a robot Godzilla makes 100% sense. He isn't big and bulky like the Heisei version, and he doesn't have the low budget feel of the Showa one. This one is just perfect in every way. The amount of arsenal he has adds to his badassery, but the fact that he is fully mobile enough to fight Godzilla hand to hand is where he truly blazes in glory. His ability to go berserk was unexpected and adds to the layers of his character where you would not expect there to be any. Kiryu has more life to him than any other opponent Godzilla has faced in years, and he is essentially a machine. If Skynet was real and it wanted to create a Godzilla, Kiryu is exactly what would be made. Finally, there's nothing else to really say about Oshima's score that was not covered in the Mega Gearus review. She is a genius with excellent sounding themes, and every piece of music fits in with every scene. Her new Kiryu theme is not as catchy as the Godzilla theme, but it syncs perfectly with him. The battle music is grandiose. Interestingly enough, this is also the first movie in the Millennium series to not feature a Fuka-based Godzilla theme at all. It's not even used during the credits sequence like it was in GMK. Godzilla against MechaGodzilla would be a movie Ishiro Honda would be proud of. It takes everything that Honda had made Godzilla into and adds new mythos to it to put a new spin on the series. Tezuka is by far a modern day Honda with this movie, and Oshima is a modern day Fukabe as well. Well, that is all the time I have for this episode. I shall conclude the Kiryu saga next time with Godzilla Tokyo SOS. Bye.